Let's get started, Bia.
Hello, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today in such an important occasion, the pre-launch of our book that tells the story of our circular learning journey for the last 5 years. So I'm very glad to start this event, inviting Gorazd, the Slovenian ambassador of Brazil, to give us some remarks. And please welcome, Gorazd. It's an honor to have you here and to have you on board with our journey and promoting circular economy and creating that bridge between Europe and Brazil. Please, welcome.
Thank you very much. Muito obrigado, Bia. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start by congratulating the organizers for a very impressive lineup of speakers. It features 2 Slovenians, and one of us is internationally recognized and acclaimed thinker and doer on circular economy. I happen to be the other one. My name is Gorazd Rencelj, and I'm ambassador of Slovenia here in Brazil. And I feel very privileged indeed to be joining this event and to try and do my contribution to the conversation. I believe I can do this best by focusing on 2 areas which I can bring to the table. Firstly, I represent a country which is serious and very ambitious about circular economy. In terms of new strategic direction, if I can borrow a line from the subtitle of one of the next contributors, former Environment Minister Izabella Teixeira. So not just a business opportunity, but a new strategic direction. Circular economy has become indeed an integral part of Slovenian strategic development agenda, also in our post-COVID and post-pandemic recovery, and also in our climate action. Circular economy will also feature as one of the priorities of the Slovenian EU presidency in the second half of the next year. Our focus in that time will be very much on the implementation of the EU action plan on circular economy and on the impressive set of new regulation in this field that is expected to emerge from the pipeline in the second half of 2021. But also equally important, I think, is to promote and to support the EU global outreach in circular economy. We also, Slovenia, have our own ambitions in this field, in the global outreach. That's why we're working hard on establishing the Center for Circular Transition, which is meant to be a platform for sharing experience, sharing information, exchanging best practices, and also a good platform to building collaborations with partners all over the world. The main focus is expected to be on our region, the neighborhood of Western Balkans. But I think a case for Brazil and Latin America in general is also it's a very strong case to try and build collaborations and cooperation. We at the embassy here in Brasilia, as Beatrice has always mentioned, have already started laying some groundwork. And I must say the experience from the last year pretty much has been that we enjoyed very much and learned a lot actually from our interlocutors and stakeholders, both from the government side, the civil society side, but also from business. I think there's a good amount of enthusiasm and good amount of knowledge here in Brazil that just needs to be wrapped up in a bit and linked and networked. My message usually in this conversation is the same as I will repeat here today, which is we are ready to engage, Slovenia is ready to engage, and very honestly, our resources might be limited, but when it comes to goodwill, enthusiasm, we have almost unlimited amount of those. So which brings me to my second point of what I think I can bring and I'm trying to do here in Brazil, which is the advocacy for circular economy. This comes from my firm conviction and my deep conviction actually that a circular economy could and should be probably one of the centerpieces of the strategic partnership that the EU has enjoyed with Brazil. There are many reasons, and it makes perfect sense, and there are many reasons for that, especially in this time, I think, when both sides, Europe as well as Latin America and Brazil in particular, are talking about green recovery, sustainable recovery. If we are to succeed, I think, in making our recovery sustainable in the long run, I just don't see a scenario where we would leave out circular economy or resource efficiency. Also, we need, and this is, I'm putting my ambassador hat on, we need a positive agenda with Brazil, especially in the field of sustainable development. There has been a lot of tensions, as you all know, around these issues, particularly because of the developments in Amazon, the fires, deforestation. And don't get me wrong, I mean, there are reasons for this, why they're having these tensions. And I also believe that Europe should very much, and the EU should very much stay firm on this message, on these issues. They're important issues. But equally, I think it's also important to try and build a constructive, positive agenda. And I think circular economy is the best candidate to do that, actually, to engage in a positive manner, which can benefit both sides. I think that I will add another reason, which is because the change that going circular, fully circular in our economies is so profound and so all-encompassing, nobody has yet done it. So in a way, there is a sense of a equal level playing field, which might not exist in other models of traditional development. Whereas in circular, nobody has done it. Surely some countries have been have advanced, and we have our Dutch colleagues here who I think will talk about that. And I also must say we're proud of the progress that Slovenia has made. But then again, we can all learn from each other. I think still, no matter how far along the path you are. It's a circular thing, so it's easier to look across a round table for experience with others than a long linear table, if I may borrow analogy. Which gives me an opportunity, this feeling of equal level playing field and exchange of information and learning from each other. And I think Slovenia has as much to learn from Brazil as Brazil has from Slovenia, which gives me a perfect opportunity to thank and to commend Beatriz, Natalia, their collaborators, their partners here in Brazil for the excellent, extraordinary work they've been doing on advocacy, on education, on building networks around circular economy. We are all very excited about the book that's coming. I think will be an important milestone on this circular journey of Brazil. And I also, in my personal capacity, I have to say, I look forward to the work we will keep doing together. Let me conclude one of these opportunities where I think we can join forces, and this is an invitation to all of you. Slovenian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has partnered with the EU LAC, meaning EU and Latin American Caribbean Foundation, to organize a webinar on circular economy in opportunities and challenges in a COVID-19 era. The event will be virtual, will be hosted by the EU LAC Foundation platform, and will happen on 24th of November, 3 o'clock Central European time. This is my pitch. It would be brilliant to have all of you present and to tune in the conversation and contribute to the conversation. As well as for today, I might conclude here and just wish everybody a very good event and great discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gorazd. I think, as you said, it's a constructive agenda. And I think this book is a great symbol of what we can do together if we join forces and get the right people on board. Thank you very much for your support and your assistance. And I'm sure we're going to be together in the long run.
Great. Thank you very much, Pia.
Yeah. So welcome, everyone. It's a great moment for us here today. I'm going to highlight what's the agenda for today. I'm going to start just presenting a few details about our journey. I will invite Izabella Teixeira for the opening remarks. She has written the preface of the book, and she's gonna give us a few words about mentioning that circular economy is more than an opportunity for business development in Brazil, but it can give us a new strategic direction. And then we have two amazing panels that I will introduce later on. And we will finish with some presentations from our ambassadors, our study group ambassadors. and also 2 amazing case studies that are in the book. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. And I would like to say initially that the Brazilian circular journey is about 3 elements. It's initially about people, being inspired and inspire others, and building a network of colleagues, specialists, and friends that you can trust. The second strong element is about education. Study, study, study. And that's the reason why we are here. That means a lot of study, knowledge exchange, and hard work to understand how we could bring this debate to Brazil. And finally, it's all about how we put all of this together, how we bring the people, the knowledge, and the practice together to promote and influence the circular transition in Brazil. So NEC was born in 2016 as a group of professionals interested in getting together to study circular economy. It was all voluntary. It was a very disruptive agenda. But we gathered a multidisciplinary team eager to collaborate and meet every month to study all the elements of the circular economy. And we established a vision, and I'm really, really glad to look back now and see how strong is our vision and how we managed to achieve our objectives. So our vision was to be a central reference for circular economy information in Brazil. Our mission was to engage all the stakeholders in Brazilian society to improve the understanding of circular economy and really demonstrate the benefits to the Brazilian reality. And we established 3 objectives, and I will demonstrate how we are happy to achieve all of these objectives. The first one was to promote knowledge exchange and cooperation between international experts and Brazilian professionals. Our aim was also to engage more and more people around the country to really understand and be ambassadors for circular economy. And finally, since the beginning, we really want to be able to produce reference material with all this knowledge exchange that we were having with all the international experts. We were very innovative because right there in 2016, we were organizing webinars with people from different countries and really promoting this, using the technology to really make the most of this knowledge exchange. So our first objectives came about to gather these people, and I really wanted to create an agenda for the group. So this agenda came up when I was invited by Arjen, the Dutch consulate in Rio de Janeiro, to attend the Circular Economy Hotspot mission in 2016. And after that, I was invited by Professor Newton Richer, who is our ambassador, to give a lecture on the university that I graduated. And as a result of that, we inspired the students to really get together to study this topic that was back then very new to the Brazilian market. And my first inspiration was Peter Jersing, who wrote an article on the Scope magazine launched during the hotspot, talking about the 8 elements for circularity. And this means education, scale for progress, the need for investment, the need for collaboration and engagement, communication, incentives and policies to be able to demonstrate the results, and the base of circular economy being renewables. So this was the base of our study group. And we follow all these 8 elements in every month that we meet with international specialists from 7 different countries through 8 webinars and 2 workshops. And these are some shots of our webinars and how amazing is and how great feeling is to look at these pictures and remember every single meeting that we had, every single expert, every single discussion and how important this was to really bring maturity to our knowledge and adapt the solution and our knowledge to the Brazilian reality. So at year 2, we wanted to build capacity. So we invited people from all over the country to gather and create our network. And on the second year, we had 26 ambassadors in 9 states and 15 cities. And we kept on going, organizing webinars, events, until today, where we feel that we have reached maturity and scale. So there are many people, many ambassadors, some of them here today, that have been very important for my journey and for my learning and all this knowledge exchange. And I want to thank you all. So at year 3, we organized a series of events. We have developed partnerships with the Circular Economy Club. We attended the Conference Industry National Federation event, and we kept on gathering and disseminating the information. And the landmark was a big event with the National Bank, where we invited the ambassadors to moderate the tables. And we went through all these 8 steps to create like a map, a guidance for the National Bank that could be used to have a better understanding of what circular economy was about. And finally, we reached the 4th year, and we realized that circular economy is not about what you already have, but what you can achieve. And that's the key learnings that I wanted to leave here today. Technology is only one part. So we must develop new policies, and it's all about cultural change and supply chain integration. We have a partnership with Izabella, which is an institute focused on the bioeconomy, and they are doing lots of great research on utilities for the mango seeds. But it's not only about the technology. We need to have this systemic view and incorporate and observe the market demand. And that's what we are doing together with them to bring this technology to the market. The second learning is about the unusual connections. So we need education, we need science, and we need the role of the facilitator to connect all these interlinked supply chains to really develop circular solutions. And we have examples that we are working at the moment here in the Brazilian market. And finally, we realize that we need new rules, new values. We need to redefine what we mean by value creation and the fact that one cannot do it alone. We need to develop trust, collaborations, and strong partnerships to create a new economic balance. And this is what we are doing with the Circular Economy Hub, gathering companies from all parts of the value chain. So here is our book. It's divided into 6 parts. We are very happy to have all these amazing authors with us. It's 33 in total, 16 international specialists from 10 different countries, with thanks, Pace, Gorazd, Paulo from Gerdau, Henrique from FINEP, who has written the quotes for our back cover, giving us the encouragement that we are in the right path. So I would like now to introduce Izabella Teixeira. She's gonna present and provide us with some more inspiration. And I would like to make a great public thank you for her and for all the support that she has been given to me and to our agenda. And it's really great to have this opportunity to exchange knowledge and to create this path of circular transition for Brazil together. Thank you very much and welcome, Izabella.
Thank you very much, Bia. First of all, good morning for everybody from Brazil. Good afternoon or good evening, I don't know, considering our audience. But I'm confess that I'm really very happy today to have the opportunity to join you and our friends in this special momentum. As the ambassador of Slovenia highlighted, we have this critical momentum for the Brazilian environmental agenda and policies, and we need new agendas to approach sustainability considering the national interests and also our role for the planetary resilience. And circular economy, as the other green economies, brings not only a strategic task or challenge for Brazil, but also opportunities. And this means that we can bring not only the environmentalists, but also different players, stakeholders, different political and economic constituents to join us to discuss the perspective, how we can address solutions based on nature conservation, how indeed we can move forward, considering our national challenge on development based on sustainability and nature conservation. Brazil, we have really a huge experience in the last 35 years, how to manage environmental policy, how to build up our legal arrangements and legal security, how to manage social and environmental agenda and bring to indigenous people, traditional communities together, not only in Amazonia, but in around all the biomes in Brazil. And it's very important to highlight here that Brazil is an urban country. And this is absolutely something that is critical because for environmental protection, because you need to solve urban problems, as and still need to manage critical agendas like urban sustainability or new trends on urban development, but also rural ecosystems and rural areas. They're really important for us, not only for our economy, but also how we can connect different societies in a huge country like Brazil. So my feeling is that this opportunity for this dialogue and also of the conversation, as Beatriz and the ambassador from Slovenia highlighted, it's a constructive way to approach the global challenges that have an environment agenda, and also how you can translate or put this in concrete realities and address local needs as part of the solutions of the global problems. So I'm very honored to join this initiative, but also to looking forward to address here that we have a new global context post-COVID pandemic crisis. Indeed, we have three big crises, environmental crises that were present before COVID: climate change, biodiversity loss, and also pollution. And but we need to understand how we manage into transition, this nature transition, how we manage a climate transition, and how we manage natural resource managed transition. We need to promote convergence. We need to develop common interests, common vision, and to understand how we share at the global level, national level, and local level, this journey that brings people in the core of the global agenda. We need to promote development based on conservation. We need to understand how natural capital is key for our development, and also to tackle social inequalities and economic informalities, meaning for developing and emerging economies. And circular economy is part of this set of strategies or new tools and also new policy perspectives, public policy perspectives to address solutions based on nature. It's very important to highlight that science makes clear on the need of decouple economic growth from natural resource use, and also and the positive impacts that would have on the reducing greenhouse emissions, protecting biodiversity, and on driving socioeconomic development. So decoupling or decouple is absolutely strategic for us to make clear in different realities, even in a national reality as Brazil has. You have this diversity of situation. If you bring solution for an Amazonia, not necessarily the same solution will be applied in the south of the country. And this diversity means for us an asset for business leaders, an asset for local population, an asset also for how Brazil wants to plan or to make clear the new strategies on sustainable development, considering sustainable development goals implementation, its Agenda 2030, and also for climate change and biodiversity strategy. We need to understand how we can move forward in the context of a complex world. This is a complex world, and we need to learn with this experience and understand the role and the co-responsibility that each actor, each stakeholder must assume, considers the challenge that the post-COVID crisis will impose to us. we need to influence or to make easier to bring local needs and local realities as part of the global solutions agenda. For this, I think that sustainable consumption and production is a weak challenge. Okay, it's complex, I agree. You have different narratives, different interests, different business model, etc., but we need to understand and to strengthen the links to consumption and production and natural resource management. And for this, circular economy makes sense, more than makes sense. It is a strategic way to approach this and also to address solutions and considering add to these solutions the impact of the economy of innovation, the impact of the economy of knowledge. And also, in my opinion, to support science to address solutions based on local and national needs. We need global science, but also we need to address solutions to influence regional and national realities in such a way that we can make faster the tracks on the pathways on sustainability. We cannot forget also that consider sustainable consumption and production agenda, the important to have the new global momentum, exactly bring value supply chains into the core of the problem, or the core of the solution. I'm sorry. I think that value supply chains means the interface between science on natural resource and action on sustainable consumption and production. Circular transition, it's absolutely circular economy. Circular transition is absolutely important to be understood in such a way that we can join force and also to engage in the positive manners of individuals and society, as the ambassador of Slovenia highlighted before. Choices and decisions considering value supply chains allows how the sustainable consumption production decision can influence the new ways to access, manage, and reuse natural resources, and how the scientific information must be used individually, not only for policymakers in different reality societies, and also indicates not only what and why, but also how to change the use and manage of natural resources in the planet. It's also absolutely important, and I know this a lot, how to influence policymakers and decision process. Value supply chains and natural resource management offer the opportunity to approach policy options and even evaluate effectiveness of these policies that are being suggested. This is something very important. We need to suggest, to promote, to implement, but we need to learn how to evaluate this, how to connect the gaps, how to understand better in short-term perspective, how to address solutions based on the convergence of interests and also convergence of tools. My feeling is that sustainability brings countries, societies, and people together today. I think this is the only issue at the global international cooperation agenda that it has no questions about this importance. I have no question about how we need to adopt this to move forward. But it's a powerful, why? Because it's a powerful pathway for strengthening the international cooperation. And the circular economy, sustainable consumption production are important elements for the global sustainability equation. As Beatriz showed to us, the challenge that we have in Brazil and how knowledge and how partnership, how business leaders, new business model, new ways to bring private sector together with public sector and civil society are critical to understand the challenge that a country like Brazil has based on development and also economic growth and address social inequalities. We need to understand that human beings is part of the nature. Homo sapiens is part of the nature. We are not a part of the nature. And for this, we need to understand the role of the natural capital to move forward on solutions considered sustainable development, and also how to understand better the trade-offs during the transition process, how we manage trade-offs. We need also to learn who will be the losers, the economic sector that will be the loser in the future, and how we can anticipate to manage solutions before this becomes a bottleneck or a barrier in such a way that new trends, new economy can come. Low carbon economy, circular economy, bioeconomy, they are really new economies that absolutely make sense for Brazil development. Not only in Amazonia, as mentioned before, but also in other biomes like Pantanal, like Brazilian Savanna Cerrado and Atlantic Forest, and also the Pampa in the south of the country. Brazil is an important player for food production, and we need to connect back to food safety, food security, and food supply chains. this is a big challenge for circularity, for natural resource management. And this is a big challenge for consumers, it's a big challenge for business leaders, it's a big challenge how we can use better digital tools to improve our performance of policy on sustainability. Absolutely, we have this momentum that the book explores, and I like too much because Beatriz summarized some key issues, but I'd like here to highlight that the book explored the recent different experience and perspectives of circular economy in Brazil. So even consider this transition, the problems that the political and economic problems that unfortunately we have today to address environmental policies in Brazil, we have the society moving on, we have the private sector moving on, you have the science, the academia moving on. So you have subnational efforts looking for solutions, like the governors of the state of Amazonia that wants to address bioeconomy together with circular economy. Something like circular bioeconomy, because we need to understand the logicals and also the realities, indeed, how we can bring things together and modeling new business and also modeling new ways to promote local and regional sustainable development. So the book explores not only how Brazil is playing or is developing experience this, but also how a circular economy is a key player in the transition for our development process. We need to go into this. We need to understand, for example, the needs of fiscal reform that Brazil is discussing today at National Congress and how this will influence to stimulate circular economy in Brazil. Absolutely important to bring other political constituencies on board, and this is the importance of the book, because it made clear how indeed we'll have opportunities, make clear what are the key players that we have in Brazil in charge to do this, and also how we can connect new political and economic constituencies to express circular economy as a priority for our national development. This means to go beyond the converted people and environmental issues. This means that we need to pray for non-converted people, how we can, in concrete ways, bottom-up and top and down approach, bring things together and make sense for development in the country that has the challenges like Brazil. It's not only Brazil, and how Brazil can influence other partners, other neighbors countries, other regional territory that we share, for example, in Amazon Basin or in the south of the country with Argentina and Uruguay in the Plata Basin, and also in Pantanal with Bolivia, etc. How we can bring these countries together, have a convergence of interest and a convergence of ambition, political and economic ambition. And this means leadership. This means to be part of the world in this century. This means to be engaged to bring solutions, and more than this, to be engaged to be part of to tackle the global environmental challenge that we have today, but not only to cut emissions in the case of climate change, but also to promote adaptation. What are the new strategies for climate adaptation in countries like Brazil? And circular economy, it's part of this, for example, in civil construction, for example, in safeguards of tropical agriculture, as Brazil is a big and strategic global player. Finally, I'd like here to highlight that circular economy is not only an opportunity to moving forward on sustainable development in the case of Brazil. New business models, new values, new consumer behavior are critical to promote the national development based on nature conservation and not on nature destruction. Brazil in the past, we promote our development and we are important global economy, but to have huge consequences considering environmental protection. We lost around 90% of tropical Atlantic forests. This was important tropical forest that we have along our coast, and our development was full based, concentrated in the beginnings in this region. And the consequence is that we lost around 9%. We are trying now to restore part of this. We have forest code compliance and we have new requirements considered Brazilian disease, etc. But the cost is so high, and we need to understand the big challenge that how we can address land restoration and how indeed we can use better natural resource. On the other side, we have Amazonia. We destroyed around 19% of Amazonian forests, but you have around 80% of Amazonia preserved. We need to stop the degradation because the environmental crimes owns the misery or the poverty in Amazonia, and also the environmental degradation. If you learn with this experience in the last 30 years or 50 years, it's absolutely important that you can promote regional sustainable development in Amazonia, considering the new economies, for example, to address the gaps on infrastructure, based on the new materials, based on circular efficiency, resource management. So this also can bring new inputs and new strategic acknowledgement, scientific and political and economic ones, to promote sustainable development in the region that to have 25 million people that live there, and around 80% of this population lives in cities. So indeed, we need to understand the complexity, we need to understand how wicked the problems are, but we need to understand also that the solutions are on the table, and we need to choose if we want to be part of the problem or if we want to be part of the solutions. I prefer to be part of the solution. I used to be a fan of the hope, but I used to be a pragmatic woman. Circularity brings the two worlds together. So, Bia, I'd like to thank you very much for the opportunity to join you and our friends in this panel. I'm convinced that next year we have UNEA 5, and we exactly sharing one planet and international resource planning, how we can bring sustainable consumption, production, and natural resource management together. This is based on the value supply chain that I try only to illustrate here. And this makes sense for a country like Brazil, not only consider the faith in industry, but also the demands to make our responsibility, our roles, to play our roles in food security, food safety, and food sustainability at the global level, for example, or to move best solutions consider urban problems, and how we can conciliate social gaps and promote human development framed in an innovative way that you can bring environmental conservation as a key player or a key asset to address solutions for humankind. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share these perspectives. I'd like to thank out my friends that to join me in this panel, and I confess that I'm very surprised and happy that even in this, how can I say, this gray momentum of environmental policies in Brazil, green is there. So I think that it's not only the dollar green, this is environmental greens. I prefer to go into the 3 S, okay? This S of sustainable circularity, or the sustainable climate change, and the sustainable way to manage, to have nature in the core of our global development. I'm on board, as you know, and I'm very honored to be together here with our friends, and congratulations for the pre-launch of the book. And I'm sure that this is the first step on the new direction of Brazil, on the sustainable development direction of Brazil, a new momentum of this global agenda. Let's see how we can use this. Let's see how we can indeed discuss sustainable development goals beyond 2030. It's very important to learn the next 10 years. These next 10 years will be key to change everything that we have at the global level. So Brazil must be on board now. And that's why this book and this hub of circular economy in Brazil makes more than sense. It's absolutely important that we can bring other people on board, and more than this, join our international partners and Brazilian partners to make the difference in short-term perspective. You don't have time to lose. We have time only to build. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Izabella. You see, I always say that your words are always very inspired, and that's what gives us strength to keep going and to see that we are on the right path. And I think, just to summarize what you said, the word is how, right? It's not about what and why. It's about how to bring people together, how to connect the gaps, how to cooperate, and how to make Brazil a power that can really influence change and growth and develop in a circular way. So thank you very much. And It's by only getting together that we can make this happen. Circular economy is not a one-man job. It's not a government job. It's not a one industry job. We all have to do that together at the same time, holding hands and being direct. Thank you very much. So now I'm honored also to bring to our event our great professor, Wouter Stahel, which is a remarkable professional and scientist to have been developing all the basis of circular economy, and it's an honor to have him here. I'm really glad that he accepted our invitation to write the first chapter of the book. And the way that we connect, I think it demonstrates the new reality and the power of technology, because I was brave enough to send him a message on LinkedIn, and he kindly responded to me. So I'm very glad to be able to share this moment with him and to have him here. So Professor Stahel, welcome.
Good morning, Beatrice. Good morning, all, and thank you very much for inviting me. Well, as the previous speaker has said, it's a complex world, and the problem is there are local, national, and global issues that we have to bring together. But let me just shortly talk about the structure of the circular economy. There is the nature, the natural capital, the circularity principle of renewable resources, especially water. There's no life without water, so we have to reduce the consumption, develop cascading reuses. People and their skills are part of nature. People are the only resource that has a qualitative side, which we can improve through education and training. And of course, there's plants and animals, food, and also there is energy, geothermal, wind and solar radiation, tidal energies. These options are open to all actors of the economy. Then we have the man-made or material world of manufactured materials and objects, which man-made also implies a man-made liability by the producer. And in the center of this man-made world is the use of objects, what I call the area of R. In other words, we have to try to use our belongings for the longest possible time. And who is in charge? You and me. The owner-user of objects decides how long these are going to live. Then we also have to maintain the value and utility of atoms and molecules, of our resources, what I call the area of D, for we have to learn to de-link the different assemblies, man-made assemblies of materials. In charge of this are waste managers, but waste managers are normally not specialists. Very often it's municipalities. So therefore, I think we have to shift the liability for waste back to whoever produced the waste to solve the problem he has created. Then we move into a immaterial world, which so far is very often been neglected, but which I think will become more and more important. This includes the man-made framework conditions, such as taxation. We shouldn't tax labor. We shouldn't tax things we want to promote. We should tax non-renewable resources, legislation, and subsidies. At the moment, the world governments subsidize the combustion, the fossil fuel production and combustion with $5 trillion. And at the same time, they maintain that we should reduce CO2 emissions. Well, policymakers are in charge here and should take charge of making sense into this. Also, in the realm of the policymakers is public procurement. Public procurement can be a very strong driver of innovation and change by promote the shift to a circular economy. Then the next point is invisible resources or grey resources, which are embodied in manufactured objects, CO2 emissions, water consumed from the mine to the point of sale through all the stages of production, can be saved, can be maintained, can be preserved through a longer use of objects. By that I mean infrastructure, buildings, equipment and products. The longer we use them, the less we have to replace these existing investments through new ones. And that brings me to the last point, R&D, academia, industry, research into circular energy, such as hydrogen, circular chemistry, such as carbon capture and utilization, or PDKs, circular plastics, circular monomers, and circular metallurgy. These are the tools that we can prevent to continue the legacy of man-made waste and to create a low carbon and low waste future. So, many different actors have basically to play together in a concert. If you regard as the circular economy as a concert of global, regional or national and local players, if they all work together, we can create opportunities, we can exploit opportunities, and we can create a better world based on not exploiting, but on using natural and man-made capitals. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Stahel. Yes, we can create a better world, and this is what we really want. And we thank you very much for your presentation. And I must say, I was very pleased to read your article. The book, we started the production in 2018. So many of the authors have written their parts before COVID-19. So we had to bring this into context, and you brought a really broad and good overview of the sense of urgency and how we are all interconnected and vulnerable, and circular economy could be the way by changing the liability of waste that we produce, as you said, and getting many different actors to play a role together. Thank you very much.
Well, there is, talking about COVID, COVID has taught us one big lesson, that it is essential services. Karl Marx always talked about productive labor, productive for the economy. COVID has taught us there is essential labor that is not productive and that is typical for all caring activities, looking after people, repairing objects, looking after nature. All these activities are by the economists considered as not productive. yet they are absolutely essential for society to survive. And this, we shouldn't forget that we really have to change the way we look at the role of labor in this new world. Thank you.
Thank you. And to close with this panel, I just want to read some of the comments that we've been receiving, which are a lot of comments from the audience. And so Carlos Eduardo said, Mr. Stahel, thank you so much for sharing your great knowledge with us. And also lots of compliments for a great speech and position of Izabella Teixeira. Thank you for your words and efforts. So thank you both. And I shall quickly move to the next panel, inviting our international specialist, because unfortunately our time is short, but we will have some time for questions during the panel sessions. Thank you very much. So I will share my screen again to introduce our great panelists. So on this first panel, it's all about accelerating the transition. And we're gonna focus on 3 of the 8 elements that we have been studying and we have been writing in the book. So welcome, Guido Bram. It's a pleasure to have you here. He's going to talk about scale to progress. Ladea Godina, my long-term partner and inspiration as well. She's going to talk about governance and collaboration. And Freek van Eyck, one of the first international experts that I had the opportunity to meet and start talking about circular economy. He's going to talk about networks and international knowledge exchange. But before I pass on the words to them, I told you in the beginning that this event and our journey, it's all about people. So I want to talk a little bit about each of them and my experience and my interactions with them. So I met Guido in 2016 during the Netherlands Circular Hotspot event. And he mentioned one sentence that I carry with me throughout my journey. That's one of the most fascinating things about the circular economy. It's all about new partnerships and cooperation. And we have seen on the words of Izabella, on the words of Professor Stahel, how important it is to establish these partnerships and learn how to cooperate. Afterwards, I met Guido in Slovenia doing the Circular Change event. And last year, I had the opportunity to go to See Better, which is his new development, and he's going to talk about it today, and receive his book on my hands and have the opportunity to change more information and learn a lot with him. And he's also had been interviewed in our documentary that we just launched in the beginning of this year. And Ladea, what can I say about you, my dear friend? I met Ladea also during the Netherlands Circular Hotspot event. And I usually say that she was 1 year ahead of me on the circular transition in Slovenia. So she has been my inspiration since then. And she also, during our webinars, during the study group, she said something that always stick to my head. Trust the people, not the title, and believe on the power of synchronicity. And it's amazing when you are on the right path, how the universe helps you and put you in the right direction and get the right people around you. So thank you very much, Ladea. Here are some pictures from the Circular Conference, and that's the one with the 2 of us when we met at the World Circular Economy Forum in Madrid last time we met. And finally, Freek van Eyck. He was, as I said, the first person that I had the opportunity to meet to talk about circular economy in the international level. It was Arjen that introduced us and said, okay, if we want to do circular economy between Brazil and the Netherlands, you two should talk and get together. So it has been a lot of discussions, a lot of debates. We have written a first book together, which was published by the Consulate and also the Industry Federation of Rio de Janeiro. I've met him during the World Circular Economy Forum in Finland, where we have a really nice ecosystem debate about circular economy in cities. And this picture on the left is at the Holland House during the Olympic Games, that we had the opportunity to organize an event there, bringing Dutch companies and Brazilian companies together. So my biggest learning from him, it was something that he said recently, that we should not waste time. We should learn fast and fail fast. And all these coalitions and all these networks help us to gather companies that can initiate practical projects, demonstrate positive results, and in that way build strong change networks. So this is the introduction that I wanted to say, and I will welcome the three of you for your 5 minutes presentation, and then we have some time for some discussion afterwards. Thank you very much. Guido, let's start with you.
Well, thank you, Beatrice. And first of all, congratulations, parabéns, with the pre-launch of the book, but also with Exchange for Change. I think you're doing a remarkable job. It's really great to see, and it's always a privilege to be part of all your enthusiastic endeavors. And I remember when we had the first webinar, the 6th of October in 2016. And back then it was not as common as we are used to it right now. So I had the opportunity to speak to you and your team and all the stakeholders in Brazil via a webinar, and we spoke about scaling up the circular economy. And I was in C-Beta back then. I think Breek is now in C-Beta, as I see. I am at the head office of Powered by Meaning. I'm co-owner of Powered by Meaning. And in 2016, we had the discussion about how to scale up, because I think here everybody and all the attendees agree that circular economy is a far more logical solution than we right now have with our linear economy. And the thing is that we, of course, need to create awareness. And you're doing a great job, and Adele is doing a great job, and Freek is doing a great job to inspire a lot of people and showing them that this is far more logical. But since 2016, my focus has been more and more on how to implement this together with all these stakeholders, with government, with business side, with startups, with scale-ups. And I'm happy to inform you that we will try to open more places like C-Beta, where we bring people together, but also that we will start a program that's called Circular at Scale, where we try to help out scale-ups to take that next jump and to accelerate the circular economy and try to make it the new normal, because that's our aim. And we discussed in 2016 that we were in the beginning, and now I can say that in the Netherlands, we're taking big steps towards becoming the new normal, especially in construction. Everybody's talking about circular economy, and if we tender from the government in terms of the built environment, there is a focus on circularity. So, it's like I said, a privilege that I was in the webinar, and I'm really happy to be part of your book. But I also like to do a shout out to these three people here on the screen, because as mentioned before, we can all sort of see that circular economy is logical, but it needs to be connected. And when I was preparing this 5-minute pitch, all of a sudden I started to realize it's I'm amongst here with three bumblebees. People that, like in nature, pollinate other areas, try to connect them, and yeah, it makes me proud that we met 5 years ago, and that we're, as a network, still going strong and make this a global movement. So, congratulations to you again, Bea.
Thank you very much. And Ladea, now it's over to you.
Yeah, it's so nice. I always say our big circular family is growing, and congratulations to what you have achieved, Beatrice, with your team in Brazil. And now I already feel the wave in Latin America on one side, because other countries are taking your example as something what they can learn from. And on the other hand, we in Europe also have learned already a lot, and I'm sure that this collaboration will result in even more exchange of knowledge and practices. So it is really a special privilege being here, and for me this is again a celebration. As I always say at our Circular Change conferences, it's so nice because what we do is we do from our heart, and we do it with great people. So today, having 4 of us on this screen, what I see is really feeling so much at home. And I think it's nowadays with this COVID time, this feeling of belonging, you know, and of having people around you who share the values and who share not the dreams, but also the visions and the values is of crucial importance. And what you're doing with your network and what Frick is doing within a circular hotspot, and Guido with everything what he's implementing, and all the others, you know, I would call us circular somehow not enthusiasts only, but also the change makers. So we can be proud of what we are doing. So this has great value, and sometimes this is not seen, because this is not a part of existing structures, or this is not a part of doing business as usual. So here I see the importance of the events like this one today, and of the books and other tools that we are using, showing the power of collaboration and the power of this different collaboration. So this is really, really needed if we want to transform not only economy, but our society into something what will thrive. And now, as Guido said already 5 years ago, we are the generation we have been waiting for, or we are the people we have been waiting for. But now it is really time that we show what we can jointly do. So, there is also, because you mentioned this synchro destiny, and I'm a big fan of this, because this is the most valuable tool we have actually. Because most of us are not money-driven people, but we are relationship-driven people, and purpose-driven people. And therefore, this is something very valuable. Once you realize that the magic can happen and the real projects can happen, once you go with this flow. And this is, again, the results. It is not something what we are dreaming about, but this is something what is actually happening here and now. So this special triangle also between Slovenia, the Netherlands, and Brazil, I would like to emphasize how pioneering this was when we started our collaboration. And we have learned so much from everything what the whole Dutch bubble of circular change makers did. And tried to implement that in Slovenia, and then exchanges with other countries. And now we see how all that is growing and what is happening on the global level. So to share a few messages and to conclude this, because I can really, what I think is worth sharing, and I would like to share more, is really that this persistence is needed. So, and this inner strength is needed. So we have to trust first ourselves that what we do has value, even if it is not recognized at the first sight. But persistence is needed, and also, to be patient and to engage and to encourage and to enable, and then we can jointly move things forward. On the other hand, we have to be humble. I would like to say that, because now we see that none of us doesn't have all the answers. Even the science cannot give us the answers on that, how to organize our society, how to organize our economy. So this is, again, giving us the opportunity to exchange everything what we think is worth exchanging, and to jointly co-create solutions. And for that, we have to create safe spaces. It might sound ridiculous in a way, but for true collaboration, you need a space where you feel accepted, where you feel valued, and where you feel that you can openly share your interests and your fears and your ambitions. So the platforms like yours, Beatrice, and the others, and also here I'm wearing the hat of European Circular Economy Stakeholder Platform, we are trying to create this kind of safe spaces for this exchange. And within these spaces, we have to listen and hear. Because if we just speak, and now with all these webinars and all these online events, we talk so much, but what do we hear? And what does address us? What do we identify with? What do we take away? So these are the questions. And after that, we can orchestrate that. All these interests, ambitions, ideas, fears as well, they're quite fine. We are scared to death sometimes. So with this, I would like to conclude that let's co-create this kind of safe spaces and let's celebrate life within these safe spaces, and let's give the opportunity to the nature to thrive and also to our civilization to thrive. So that is what we all are offering, I might say. So thank you once again for everything.
Thank you, Ladea. And I think you've created a perfect space for Frick to mention, to talk about, you know, the hotspots, the role of the hotspots and the network. So please welcome Frick.
Thank you, Bea. Thank you, Ladea and Guido. And good morning, Brazil. Well, I gladly share some highlights of an article I wrote for the book, and I wrote it together with A.G. Maas, who's now working from PACE. And it's about the strength and power of an international network of circular economy hubs. But to do that, I first make a little detour to my country, which is the Netherlands. And actually, you know, my country, it shouldn't exist. It's a very vulnerable delta. It has no resources. It's very densely populated, early industrialized, and lots of environmental stress. Now, yet today, our country and our cities are actually quite livable. Our economy is very vibrant. We managed to find a way to live with it, and I think if we can, certainly Brazil can. We had to work very hard together to keep our feet dry. We learned how to innovate and solved our waste issues, and yeah, basically we started a little bit before Brazil. We worked for 150 years on waste management, and we made all the mistakes you could make, but in the end, we made it work. We embraced circular economy, and now we want to be fully circular by 2050. We're only a quarter there, 24.5% to be exact, but I believe that we can get close because it's such an inspirational concept. It gives a positive buzz, a feeling, a can-do mentality, bottom up, it can scale. We did it in Holland by focusing on 5 transition agendas, so others could follow, and also by having a set of incentives. You can have a dream, a vision, you can have a focus, but you have to tweak the system. So we had to work on regulation, on market incentives, on focus areas for R&D, behavior, etc. But now I come to basically the catch for why we go international, why we work with this network of international hubs. It makes no sense to make a circular island of the Netherlands if the rest of the world goes down the drain. We need you. If there's no future for Brazil, there's no future for the Netherlands. We need to work on every angle of the world. So we are an open economy, we are exporters, we need you. And I think COVID-19 has shown us how we are connected, let's say how we are dependent on each other. So we need to work at the international level. We need more resilient value chains and we need to go circle. That's why we reached out as Holland Circular Hotspot. And we looked at other places. Now, for me, circular economy hubs and hotspots, there are places where public and private partners come together because you need to work on every angle, not just business, not just the government. Nobody can do it alone. It's about front-running businesses, but it's also about these impatient startups that want to change the world. It's about knowledge institutes, and it's also about leading ministries. There are lots of ministries which have a vision, which want to make a change because they know not acting today will be far higher costs, let's say, in the future. The coalitions of the willing, typically not for profit, also not political, because circular economy is not from the left or from the right. I mean, everybody can win, has to win here. And it's I think, like the Dutch or like the European circular economy package, it's also about focus, some focus areas. So you have to pick up low-hanging fruit where you can move from. In our case, we have our transition agendas. Now, a very important thing I like about these hotspots, it's about sharing lessons. because circular economy is not about copyright, it's about right to copy. So we share these best practices of businesses, of entrepreneurs, their dreams, their failures, their successes. We share also that, these business stories are so inspirational, bottom-up storage which can grow, and we need business, because in the end, it's not government which scales up, it's business. They show guts, they invest, it has to come from them. We also share the perspective from the knowledge community, the insights, the facts and figures, because we need to quantify what we're doing. What I find always very interesting, that it's only 20% about technology, 80% is about social innovation. It's also about new financial models, which fit with, let's say, the reality, with the total cost of ownership. And we share the hard-learned lessons from our government, how to set up extended producer responsibility, how to create a pull factor for a public procurement, and more things like that. So I think hotspots can help with capacity building. They inspire, they accelerate the time to market, and by sharing internationally, we can leapfrog. You cut some corners because there's no time to waste. And I think if you look at the network now, we have networks which span the globe from Africa to Australia, to Taiwan, to Europe, to Brazil, to Canada. And you, Beatrice, you've been there from the very beginning, 2016, the hotspot event organized by Guido. Ladea was there as well. And we can learn so much from other countries. When I was in Taiwan, they have these singing garbage trucks. And actually, we look at Taiwan, but their waste management at municipal in municipalities is far better than the Netherlands. When I was in Australia, I saw that they make high-rise buildings with a skeleton of wooden beams instead of concrete. The Nordics have great capabilities in the bioeconomy. And although there's lots of room of improvement in countries like Nigeria, your average telephone, well, they have 7 or 8 lives in Nigeria, and they use a skill set we have long forgotten. So we can learn from everybody. And for me, it's an ideas network. And this network deserves further cultivation. They start like small teams. This team, they create a change coalition. This change coalition starts to get all kinds of projects, and all these projects become new networks again, which start new projects again. So it's tremendously inspirational. So I'm very proud to be part of this network. And I want to thank A.G. Maas for writing the article with me. And to all of you, I can only say, hey, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Let's make the future circular. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I cannot thank you enough. And I think one interesting point here is to look back also and see how much we've achieved. And also say that, Guido, you are responsible for that, because you initiated the Netherlands a hotspot event. And that's where, as Craig said, we're all started. So I'm really glad to see that we have really left a legacy, and we are moving forward step by step. But as he said, learn fast, fail fast. And I will start with a couple of questions. So I'll start with you, Guido. So you have this vision about the need to gather everybody to really make this happen. And now you are with a new step with the See Better. Remember our last conversation that you told me there's a lot of pilots, there's a lot of things going on, but we need something to really make it scale and make it progress. So what was your learning curve there? What was your moment that you realized, okay, there's something different that I have to do here, and how has been the See Better development? What can we learn from that?
Well, actually, to be honest, I'm learning from this event itself as well. When Ladea just said about creating safe spaces, all of a sudden I started to realize that that's exactly what we need, because I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I do a lot of stuff. I initiate a lot of stuff. Sometimes they're business focused, and sometimes they are foundation to sort of take the next step towards that transitional, that systemic change towards circular economy. And for me, there is a little bit of shortage of time you have here on planet Earth. So you better create a positive legacy. And it's always nice to be reminded of your own quote that we are the people we've been waiting for. So what can you do in your lifetime to make this sort of positive effort? And also, I'd like to be very honest for all the viewers. If you take an initiative and you do it with the sort of with the right mindset and with from the heart, you get so much in return. So it's life can be much more purposeful if you contribute to something that is now not working. And there are, I used to use the quote as well, like entrepreneurs are the ones filling the gaps and failures in society. If something is wrong in society, you have to fix it. And you need creativity for that, you need connectiveness for that, you need perseverance for that, and you need sometimes to sort of outsmart the current system. So what I've learned in the first 4 or 5 years, more and more people told the story about circular economy. And they did a much better job than I did, explaining it into details and getting involved a lot of people. So I started to realize that I had to sort of switch to a new kind of role. And I think my contribution to this transition is much more in trying to see if we can set up new business models that outbeat the current linear system. So I put a lot of focus on, for instance, on a production side where we try to create wooden buildings, elements of wooden buildings, so that in the Netherlands we'll use less concrete and more wood in our housing system. So that's my focus now. But I like to come back to that safe place. You need to do that together with a complete supply chain, and then you need trust, and then you need places where you can also express your fears. That's the difference between the current linear system, where people are sort of trying to get the best for themselves. In a circular economy, we try to sort of find a way where more people can profit from a great idea.
That's a great point, because a lot of people think that circular economy is all about materials flow, but I think it's not at all. It's about supply chain integration. It's about building trust and creating this new economic model.
There's so much focus on technology, and I fully echo what Freek is saying, that 80% is social innovation. So,
yeah, we are talking a lot about culture and purpose-driven and persistence. So I want to ask Ladea about the role of the orchestrators in getting all of these actors together. Freek mentioned the Circular Economy Package, and I've been reading the Circular Economy Action Plan, and there is one of the objectives there that talks about building safe operating spaces and how to integrate natural resources supply chain globally. So I think we have here an opportunity to work together. We have the Netherlands, we have Slovenia here, and Brazil. How can we create this guidance, these directives for resource exploration, but based on both emerging countries and developed countries' experiences and guidelines? I know Ladea has done an amazing job with the European Circular Economy Stakeholder Platform and all the engagement necessary in the country to get all the actors together. So I would like her to share a little bit more about this, the facilitator needed to the circular transition.
Yeah, so thank you for the question. It is very complex, but I will try to address different angles. Yes. First of all, I will continue where Guido started. So about the key competencies. One of important things is that also we, on personal level, realize what is our key competence. because we cannot be everything for everyone. This is the first thing that we have to realize and to embrace that. There is nothing wrong with that. And now going to this, if I go again to my personal insight, I have realized on this journey that where I can contribute most is exactly that, to be in this helicopter and having an overview around different stakeholders, different change makers, and then bring them together. So this is something what is called orchestration or facilitation or curation or however, but that is something what is not written as a skill or something what has value or something what fits with the educational system or whatever. So this has not been recognized as something what is really needed for this transition, and particularly not because, as I said already before, here we are orchestrating very different interests. Because if we want to shift from linear to circular, it is not an easy deal, and it is something what wants everyone in the whole value chain to really participate. And I wouldn't even call this anymore value chain. It is more about value system. And new partnerships are established within that. And all of a sudden you start collaborating with someone who you never thought of. I like to use very concrete examples like Aquafil, because we are working with them. When they decided to produce 100% recycled nylon, EcoNil, from the fishing nets, they find themselves in front of the challenge, because all of a sudden they have worked with fishermen in Philippines, educating them how to get fishing nets out of the sea. While we were doing that, they realized, oh, there are animals within this, like turtles, that are trapped in these fishing nets. And they started to collaborate with London Zoo. So they needed knowledge how to protect and preserve those animals. You know, who would ever on this earth think that these are going to be your business partners and very crucial for your value chain if you are producing nylon? So therefore, I think this openness, you know, and also this courage to step out and to start this transformation is needed. And another important aspect here is, and I like to use the metaphor that we are moving from battlefields to the playgrounds. So let's play. Don't fight against each other. It is not about the competition. So if you win, I lose. Of course, we have losers on the short term, but let's take care about everyone and let's include the competencies. We need all the competencies there. So not something is needed and something else is not. And when and as Walter said nicely, now we have also realized how important the skills that we have and craftsman skills are, for example. That was very much neglected previously, particularly in Central and Eastern Europe. You know, if you were handy, able to repair and refurbish, it was like, oh, you cannot afford new stuff. So all that is becoming now important. And I don't want to be too long because Frick has to add something important for sure. So just to conclude, to understand that different competencies, different knowledge, everything counts. So everyone in this network or in this system can contribute to the change. And by orchestrating that, we are enabling, again, these spaces where this can be recognized, when this can be valued and connected, because I'm a creative by heart. Guido is an entrepreneur, but I'm coming from creative industries, and I enjoy creating new things from existing parts. So all the parts are here. We just have to put them together in a new patterns. And that is circular economy. And that is this new economic and social system.
That's great. Freek, your last words so we can move quickly to the next panel.
Oh, do you have a specific question for me?
Well, I get the words from Guido when he talked about connectivity and creativity. And this has been my 3 C's for Exchange for Change Brazil: connectivity, creativity, and circularity. So I think we are all very much in line on that. Freek, I think you can just emphasize what Ladea said about getting the public sector and the private sector together, the challenges of that. And then we move to the second panel very quickly.
Sure. Now let me give some reflections. We're now in a time that the future is rather uncertain, no? Especially also COVID-19, some strange presidents in the planet on the left and on the right. So what do? We know that we want to make it circular, but what will the future look like? But I think the best way to predict the future is to create it, learning by doing, indeed, start going on. And I think the movement in the Netherlands didn't start with the government. It started with small impatient startups who wanted to have a better place for themselves and their children. So they were impatient, and at the same time we had forward-looking multinationals who were realizing, hey, in 13 years from now the world will be different, and if we continue like this, there is no future market for us. So we have to anticipate. We have to anticipate now, because they are building plans for the next 30 years. It's 2 years of R&D, 2 years of permitting, 1 year of building, and then the plant will be there. And there will be a different reality in 20 years from now with a different carbon price. So you have to act now. And if you work with the coalition of the willing, you join the bottom-up force, the top-down force, you can do a lot. And if the government is smart, they see it as an opportunity. Circular economy is about the economy, and first movers have the biggest market. So grab the opportunity. And when I look at Brazil, I see a fantastic country with so much richness, so much potential. And I think they can do slightly better than they're doing today as far as value preservation is concerned, closing the cycle with the bioeconomy. You have so much potential in your hands. So if Brazil really adopts this movement, we will all make it. The planet is saved. So please go for it.
We will certainly do better having all of you with us. Thank you all. So I will quickly move to the next panel and invite 3 more great speakers and long-term partners. Can you see my slide? So we have now, I'm really glad to welcome Adam Woodhull from the UK, Erica Purvis, also from the UK, and Arthur ten Mold, who is in the Netherlands. This panel is about what comes first, action or belief. This is a concept that was brought to me by Adam in 2016 or 17 when we came to our study group and had this really interesting workshop provoking us to think, do we need to believe in something to act upon it, or do we need to act and then we will believe? But I will leave these words for him, because I'm sure he can explain this better than me. And then I invited here today to talk about the role of design and the role of public policies. So what should come first? And as I've done on the previous panel, I would like to talk a little bit first about Erica. Erica, I met at the OSCE Days in London in 2015, when I was starting my journey, and I decided to have my first tour around Europe to invite some key knowledge partners. And after that, in the following year, together with her, we organized the Circular Economy open source event in Rio. And we connected through the internet and webinars, as we are doing today. And it was a great event that we gathered people to work on challenges at the Museu da Manhã, which is a really amazing museum called Museum of Tomorrow in Brazil. And she came to Florianópolis, to the south of Brazil, and we had a gathering there and a debate about the role of design. And last year, I managed to meet her again at an event at Open Source Circular Economy Club in London. So welcome, Erica. Thanks for all the interesting chats and debates that we had about design, circular design, and we even discussed about elements of the book, right? And Arthur we've discussed a lot about public policy, and I realized that I don't have any pictures of you. But I remember that I met you in several events at the Circular Change Conference, the World Circular Economy Forum, and you told me that you wanted to be in Brazil. So here you are, not physically yet, but hopefully very soon. And I'm sure we can learn a lot about the development of public policies and incentives for circular economy here in Brazil. Because what I've learned, even though countries are very different in terms of geographic dimension, cultural differences, but people are the same everywhere. So industries and governments and the society wants the same thing in every country. So we can really learn a lot from each other. So I will stop here with this slide, and I will invite Adam to explain to us how he can come about this concept and inspire us, as he always does with his talk. Please, Adam, welcome.
Thank you so much. And hello from London. It's such a privilege to be both asked by Bea by this, and it's a nice circular journey to be in a Brazilian event after being in Brazil. It was actually nearly 4 years ago, yeah. And also be on so many other distinguished guests to be here. And yes, I'm a strategic storyteller focused on sustainable solutions, and I'm actually setting up a climate initiative at the moment in the UK. And so I've been really interested in what kind of like will best drive sustainable initiatives, and circular economy is obviously one of the best ways of doing that for many years. And so I was actually out having a coffee with a new friend of mine about 5 years ago, and he said to me, "So Adam, which do you think comes first, action or belief? Which drives the other?" And I was like, not sure. Maybe belief drives action, does it? And actually, what he said was interesting. So what we find is actually it's not what I thought it was. And actually, I've asked this same question to hundreds of people now. The majority usually kind of like are the same and kind of go, maybe it's both or maybe it's belief, not sure. But the evidence is actually, it's very clear that it's action that drives belief. Now, it's not that belief is not unimportant. Belief is very important. But what we've done within the climate, sustainability, circular economy, maybe communities, is focused maybe more than is healthy and helpful to us on trying to build belief. And why is that, do we think? Well, possibly it's because we, as the practitioners, we know that circular is right. We know that climate must be dealt with. So what we think is everybody's got to believe it like we have. And actually, maybe they don't. Maybe people just need to get on with things, because what actually tends to happen with when you're generating new beliefs, this is not in a space where there's kind of like a very set belief already, is that people start out with basically no real sort of way of looking at things. And then what happens is over time, you get people starting to kind of go down what's called like an information pyramid. And they start to make little choices, which then start to take them down one way or the other. And you can see this within the UK, actually happened with Brexit. 10 years ago, basically nobody cared about the European Union, really, apart from a few policy wonks. But then it became very politicized, and then suddenly everybody really cared about it, and everybody had an opinion. But that didn't start off like that. It's because of certain small things that have happened. And what happens is we tend to retrofit our beliefs based on the actions we've taken. Because what we do is we take a small action that creates a result, positive or negative, and then we then follow where the result is going, whether that's positive or negative, and then keep going. So if we've got a group of friends who are all saying that Brexit is terrible, then we will kind of follow the results that they're all saying the same thing as me. So what we've got to do is also recognize is that we're not 100% rational as human beings, because it's okay that belief isn't something that is like all coming from the head, because a lot of it's coming from the heart, and we take up our cues from lots of different areas of life. So what actually, as we found with, for example, the Brexit debate, is it's and many other situations, that it's really quite difficult to change beliefs, but it's actually surprisingly easy to change actions. And so let's give an example here, just to bring it to life. In Britain, we have had campaigns about how plastic bags are not a good thing for 20 to 30 years. And so, when I first started out in sustainability, this was 15 years ago, I used to go out and talk to people and do public sort of consultation-y type things. And people would turn around and go, yeah, I know I shouldn't use plastic bags, but it's just so difficult, so difficult. And they believed that it was the right thing to do, but they continued to use single-use plastic bags. But then the British government brought in a single-use plastic bag tax, which is basically 5 pence on each plastic bag. And then suddenly people had a choice. They had a choice as to whether an action. It made it more difficult. And so then the use of single-use plastic bags plummeted by 80% and has held steady. And what is interesting actually is I think if we had it so that single-use plastic bag charge was taken away now, people have got so used to it that they will probably continue. So what we've got to do is focus on how do we build action around all of this. And just to bring it to a final personal level, is that if you've got, for example, you think you need to go to, you're coming up to New Year, we're coming up to New Year now, and you need to get fit again. Do you plan to go down the gym 3 times a week for 90 minutes? Or do you plan to do 3 minutes a day every day and then build from that? Well, I'd suggest don't believe that you're going to go to the gym for 90 minutes 3 times a week. Do 3 minutes a day. Make it really easy, and that's the key thing. So that's what I believe, and the evidence is that action is typically what drives belief.
Thank you very much, Adam. When you first told me about that, I realized this is so appropriate for circular economy, because we keep discussing what exactly it means. Do I need to wait for the results to act upon it, or do I keep going? And then we will create the results needed to bring inspiration. So now it's up to Erica to bring us inspiration with her work and talk about the role of design. But before I pass on to her, have I shown all of you the cards with the action or belief circle? Have you seen? So I will share it now. So Adam, this is your circle, right? How do we get the results? We need to act first.
And that's the key thing, is that what we need to focus on is the results that are coming out. So you work out what action you want people to take, then people observe the results, and then they start to build belief. And belief tends to build kind of slowly in the background, and mainly to begin with fairly unconsciously. And obviously some people start off wanting to believe. I was one of those. I'm a climate believer, you know, etc., etc. But what I realized is that I'm unusual. You might even say I'm a bit weird in that way, because most people actually, they've got other things that they believe about and other things that are really important to them. So yeah, I think that's a very good thing to be showing. So I'm looking forward to hearing from Erica and Arta as well.
Yeah. I think we're all a bit crazy. That's what unites us. So Erica, over to you. Welcome.
Thank you, obrigada, Beatrice. I'd forgotten that we'd met at the Green Lab, also the kind of innovation makerspace for bio circular thinking in London as well. So yeah, and I think listening to Adam, it's really interesting and kind of reflecting on what I'm going to be talking a bit about. And what I wrote about in the book was this idea of how to be a designer in a world that doesn't really need more stuff. Coming from a very, my background's in product design, mechanical engineer, so making physical objects, industrial design, almost, you know, being part of that manufacturing chain, where we're really seeing the signs of it building up, the resource extraction, the social environmental consequences really of product design or industrial design as we have it. And I suppose over the last 12 years, really, my exploration of how to make a positive contribution, I suppose, rather than quite a lot of the negative impacts around design through action, I would say. And when I talk about a designer, I think, you know, there's this term for what is a designer? Is it making stuff? Is it websites? Is it all of these things? And I would say that we're all designers of some form, that we're kind of citizen designers of our own life, of the kind of roles that we want to be, what kind of work we do. So actually, we can all kind of design in circular economy, and it's not just for the role of the designer in that respect. Some key elements that I suppose I pulled out. I mean, there's a lot of practical circular economy design advice out there. You know, design things to be recycled, repairability, thinking about new kind of service or rental business models around this. But underpinning that all, and I think what we have got a lot from the conversations today, is that idea of creativity, the connections that we're making, more collaboration, more openly, like the open source circular economy days that I was involved in, kind of forming and experimenting with new different ideas from different disciplines and bringing it together. The thing that I always talk about as a designer is to question everything and continually keep questioning everything, you know, that why aspect, and getting to the root cause of some of the problems. Because also with circular design, it can be, you know, maybe we're trying to design something circular, but it's really a kind of a symptom of a bigger issue that needs to go deeper. And I think that's when the designer's role has moved from being necessarily a product focus to looking at services, systems, business models, infrastructure around it to really encompass all of those different things as well. So I'll round off there, I think, so give plenty of time for discussion. But I think that idea of what kind of circular action can you design into your life or whatever role you do is a good one to go with.
Very good. So we've learned that we all have to be a little bit of designers. And what about the role of policy development and incentive? So I'd like to welcome Arthur to our panel. Thank you, Arthur, very much for being here with us. You one of the most up-to-date articles in our book. I was explaining that a lot of the articles have been written, you know, the last 2 years, but some of the articles have been updated because of the current scenario, the COVID scenario, and you brought a lot of information about the role of policies, the circular economy packaging. So please share with us your experiences and how we can learn to bring some of this knowledge to Brazil.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me for this book launch. And yes, I am mainly working on circular economy and policy. About 5 years ago, I started my own business called Circular Future. And that's still what I'm working in, because the circular economy is still in the future. My main occupation, by the way, is being the executive director of ecopreneur.eu. And that is the European Sustainable Business Federation. And Ecopreneur represents about 3,000 companies, mainly SMEs, that are all dedicated to sustainability. And the objective of Ecopreneur is a sustainable economy. And my personal objective is to accelerate and mainstream the circular economy, and by now a low carbon circular economy, because like 5 years ago nobody was convinced of the importance of climate change, but now everybody is in Europe, so we can gladly call it again a low carbon circular economy. So that's what I want, that's what all these companies want, and we are doing advocacy for that and projects. So the advocacy part is the most important, because these companies are doing everything they can. There are wonderful examples. Each is a wonderful example of what they can do in their product group. Most of them are leaders in their product group. But those are niches, most are niche markets. And so it's by no means a circular economy. And so we want to scale up to mass markets. And to do that, you need a new economic framework. So that's why everybody is now fortunately talking about a new economy, but that needs a new framework. You need new laws, you need new tax laws, for instance. Ecopreneur is seen as the political voice for business, especially SMEs, green SMEs in Europe. The main obstacles, like I said, is the first is a lack of demand pool for those low carbon circular products and services. There's no large demand except in a few niche markets. There's a lack of transparency. There's lack of access to funding. Also, circular design is very complex, and then there are a bunch more obstacles. But we don't lobby for obstacles. We lobby for solutions. And first of all, our companies are showing these solutions themselves, like a cradle-to-cradle detergent, which is 100% packaged in 100% recycled and recyclable bottles. That's wonderful. That can already be done. So now what we ask for from the European Union, first of all, is to go on with the European Green Recovery Plan, because the European Union has a green and digital recovery plan. And we want then green strings attached to all the budgets. We want to support the private sector, and especially SMEs, but to avoid any lock-in into the old fossil economy. And also there are things that we miss, because so the good thing is the ambitions are extremely high, but the policy means proposed are by no means adequate. They will not meet their own goals. So we have 4 things that we ask from the European Commission. The first is to enable the full potential of SMEs, because small and medium-sized enterprises are so important for the circular economy. And that's why we would like circular acceleration houses in all EU regions. And there is one in the Netherlands that can serve as an example. And then a few other measures that we asked. And the second thing is economic incentives, because in the end, people buy a lot of the time on price. So we want the circular and low carbon products and services cheaper than the linear ones. So on the one hand, go to true prices that reflect the true impact on the social and environmental impacts, and also give temporary measures like a VAT, lower VAT for the circular solutions. And then a lot of other things like extended producer responsibility. And then the third thing that we ask is more innovation funding. And now they want to give less. No, we need more. And also subsidies. And then finally, implement progressive EU legislation, like, very simple, a ban on landfilling. We still don't have that. But also, we would like, that's new, a mandatory gate-to-gate life cycle analysis for all companies. So all companies, except maybe the very smallest ones, but SMEs can do this, and make their own gate-to-gate LCA. And that will provide a wealth of information that ends this lack of transparency. Well, there are many more detailed wishes that we have. An important one I forget to tell is a high CO2 price. But that's, I think, basically what we are lobbying for. And in addition to that, shortly we will start on 2 new projects, but they're not officially launched yet, so I cannot tell yet about it. Okay, anything more that you would like to know? Any questions? Otherwise, it's for the discussion.
Well, I guess as I always say, everything has to happen at the same time, right? The industry have to design better products. The consumers have the right to choose the right products, and policy making and incentives have to be in place. So unfortunately, we are short of time. Maybe one key message in one sentence for Adam and Erica and Arthur, if you want to just come back to any specific point.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is basically just go and test this and find out for yourself which is more effective, going for action first or trying to get people to believe first, and just test it out, play with it.
Good. And
yeah, I've some. I have something now, just picking up on what Arthur talked about there, and I think the power of small as well, and recognizing, acknowledging all of the small SMEs, the startups, the grassroots community organizations that are also doing a lot, or have been always doing a lot of innovation work around the circular economy, linking also back to the caring aspect. I think Walter talked about at the beginning as well, and really recognizing that's also often where big businesses' ideas come from. So all of these players together and supporting the smaller businesses and SMEs and things, startups, I think is really important to help accelerate and connect that. They learn and do action quite often much faster than larger as well.
Well done. And I have some comments from the audience. Luciana Harper says, action drives beliefs. Thank you. And hello, everyone. Congratulations and warm regards also from the other side of the world, Germany, Belobregovic. I don't know if I've said the right name. So a lot of interaction. Thank you very much. And now we're going to move to the last part of our event, where I'm going to invite some of the members of the study group that participated on all the webinars that you kindly had with us, and also some 2 cases of Brazilian initiatives that we carefully selected. So I would like to share here the panel again. Hold on. So this is our third panel, where we're going to talk about Brazilian circular initiatives. And I welcome Natalia, Vittoria, Jonathan Degani, and Paulo Garbelotto. Very pleased to have you all here. Natalia and Vittoria, they have been with me since day one of the study group. Vittoria was actually the first person that I talked to and presented the idea of the study group and Exchange for Change. And she gave me the strength to go with this crazy idea of creating an independent organization to influence the transition in the circular economy. And she has been a really good partner and involved in a lot of discussions since then, and has also created her own circular journey, and she will talk about. And Natalia, she's my dear and great partner. She's also involved in the study group since the beginning. And since the moment that she joined the group, all her comments and all her recommendations and the way that she got involved in the debate, I looked at her and I said, well, she's going to be with me in the long run. Mm-hmm. And she was one of the youngest in our study group, but with a lot of knowledge and a lot of contribution. And I'm very happy to have her by my side on this journey and part of this, all these achievements that we are here today. She's been a key player and organizer of the book, talking to all the authors, and she's going to moderate this next panel. Welcome, Natalia, and it's over to you.
Thank you, Beatrice. Please welcome everyone to this panel. I'm very glad to be here celebrating a common path towards circularity. So the great thing is that in the last few years, we have been able to see a lot of new strategies and a new strategic redirection toward a circular approach that regarding governments, researchers, and companies as well. So in the book, I will should share some my slides, please. Okay. This one, sorry for the delay. So in the book, we choose to bring concrete examples of Brazilian circular initiatives that illustrate the applicability of circular business models to Brazilian reality market. So after discussions, we decide to bring cases not previously explored in the literature. So we established 5 selection criteria to decide how to bring the cases with us. So the first one, it's innovation, technological development. Once we need new materials, we need new solutions, and we want to foster innovation through circularity. The second criteria is about partnerships, because we know circular economy is not one person business, and we need to build stronger value chains so we can share an open innovation and open solutions. The third criteria was the scalability, because we need that these partnerships and all this innovation come widely spread so we can have all peoples on the board in the transition to a sustainable future. Fourth criteria, it's about continuity. We always talk about how we need new business, not only new projects. So we want permanent solutions, and business must be circular in its purpose. This brings us to the 5 criteria. It's about investment and return. We need to be sure that investments are being made in all types of capital: natural capital, economic, financial, human capital. So these efforts should be developed among all the value chains regarding all the partners and the stakeholders. So these are some of the companies that we bring to the book. We explore these cases in a very detailed way with all these 5 criteria that I show to you in the last slide. But before going any further and we show you some concrete cases with our speakers, I would like to invite Victoria to talk about her experience, not only as an investor from NEC, but also as a driving for technology development and circular initiatives here in Brazil. Please, Victoria, the floor is yours, and thank you for coming with us.
Thank you very much, Natalia. Thank you very much, Bia. And it's very nice to be here. First of all, I would like to congratulate you for such an amazing event and for this great initiative. For me, it's a pleasure and an honor to be part of the history, to be part of this team. And my story at the group starts from the beginning. You know, I saw Beatrice at LinkedIn, and I wrote to her just like she did with Stahel. I wrote to her back in 2015 because I couldn't I couldn't believe that there was somebody closing circles or closing the cycles indeed in Brazil, and I wanted to know and want to contact with, and it was really great. And after that, we just got closer and closer, and I was one of the first participants of this learning group of circular economy. And yeah, I was in my PhD. I was in the middle of my PhD, and after that, I participated in all the, or in not in all, but in several webinars. So this very pioneering strategy to share knowledge throughout worldwide. And after that, I've been to the TU Delft, where I had the opportunity also to meet Guido Bram at his previous initiatives, his previous endeavor, and other circular economy initiatives from the Netherlands. And then I came to Brazil to defend the PhD, and now I work at the Senai Innovation Institute for biosynthetic and fibers, and I'm responsible for the circular economy agenda. And I'm very proud and happy to say that we launched in July our first nucleus, we call like this, nucleus of circular economy and sustainability for the textile and apparel industry. So I think it's well, it's really great to be inspired by all of you, and to be also an ambassador and how can I say, a warrior, if I can say like this, of the circular initiative. So thank you very much. Congratulations, and let's move on.
So I should invite first Paulo Gaberlotto from Rencwlj that will present a very interesting case about circular supplies to us. Welcome, Paulo.
Hello, guys.
Welcome.
Good morning. I will put my slides here. Just a minute.
Don't worry. Okay. Want to move to Jonathan?
Well.
Oh, no, everything perfect. Thank you.
I think it's not. I cannot find my.
So can we?
Can you show?
Change? Can you please send to Beatrice? So Beatrice will share with us here. Okay. So I don't know, Jonathan, do you have any slides?
Well, I do have, but I can do it also without slides. So, but I have slides as a backup. Anyway, good morning, everyone.
Okay. So, welcome everybody. We'll do a small change on the program. So, Paulo, if you don't mind, we will move to Jonathan's presentation. Julio, our technical assistant, please. We need some help. So,
I don't
please,
mind.
Jonathan, be quick. So, Jonathan, please be comfortable to start your presentation.
Right.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a great honor to be here. It's a great initiative, and I'm very happy personally, and also representing Brasil ao Cubo as a company. We are very happy to see that things are coming together here in Brazil as well, that our people are starting to realize and to look after circular economy, and there is this need, this importance, which is to connect the parts, connect government, connect the institutions and companies. So we are very happy to initiate this this movement initiate. Actually, for me, it's new. For many of you, is already going on for a while. But it's a pleasure to join you all. So I represent Brasil ao Cubo. For those who not know, we are pioneers in modular construction here in Brazil. For those that are listening and watching from abroad, you will probably be used already to have modular construction, but here in Brazil is something very new. And our company, the concept is new, is known for a while, but here in Brazil, Brasil ao Cubo had to develop a new product based on our supply chain, available supply chain, and available labor as well, which is not used to this kind of construction. So these were the main challenges that our founder Ricardo had as an engineer to put together and start this company. Now we are already 4 years old. We deliver constructions through whole Brazil. We have already delivered in 14 states in Brazil, from north to south. We are located here in South Santa Catarina. Yeah, our company is located here, but we have this vision of as a modular, and it enables you to deliver any kind of construction anywhere where there is access, road access to our modules.
Would you try to share your slides, Jonathan?
Yeah, I can share. Yep.
So we can show to the people this amazing project is regarding modularity. As you mentioned before, it's a very rare thing to see, especially considering the construction industry, right, here in Brazil.
Yeah. Okay. Can you see my slides already?
Yeah, and full screen. Thank you.
Yeah. So the written part are all in Portuguese, but I will explain to you what mainly we do. These are the states that we already deliver, and this is a picture of our factory here in Tubarão, Santa Catarina. We bring the whole building off-site. Yeah. So instead of working on-site where you have climate interfering in your schedule and several other issues, such as in high-rise or multiple-story buildings, you have the height issue concerning safety for your workers. Instead, we bring it all leveled up inside a factory, and in these conditions, we can assure higher productivity, we can assure safer environment for all our workers, and with that, and also reduce a lot the waste. So the whole concept comes from a very technical, labor-intensive work. Yeah, to be quick and to deliver our modules. For you to have an idea, yeah, this kind of construction allows us to deliver a hospital. For instance, this hospital was built 1,350 square meter, was delivered in 33 days. This also was a partnership with other companies such as Gerdau, was delivered in the beginning of the pandemics. This kind of construction enables you to deliver very quickly, because we can run several fronts together in parallel. So you have a couple of factories working together, one doing panels for the walls, one doing the structure. Also on site, you're doing the infrastructure and foundations, so they can all run together. And the result is a quicker construction. But in other hand, this is one of the points that we show and we offer to our clients. But in the other hand, we also can reduce the waste that is generated. How does this happen? Yeah, this starts all in a very integrated project that is done by a very large, fairly large technical group that is joined by architects, engineers, civil engineers, mechanical engineers, production engineers, and they all together can put this project to run in a very efficient way. But this requires a lot of project. Yeah, before you start any production, you have to detail as much as you can, so that when you enter production line, you have a very efficient production. So we started focusing on time reduction and material efficiency. And the result was a very sustainable construction, because for instance, these hospitals that we delivered five hospitals during pandemics. They had an average of 5% only of waste generated in the whole process, compared to a normal brick and mortar construction. It reaches up to 20, so it's a great reduction. Yeah, from 20 to 5%. This is one of them that was delivered here in Porto Alegre. This is the hospital being done, and here it's how it became. Yeah. This was delivered in 28 days, a hospital with about 1,000 square meters. Yeah.
And made to stay.
What? Sorry?
And made to stay.
And made to stay. That's true. That's very important to observe. This is not a provisional, it's a permanent construction. All of these five hospitals are permanent. And so by producing and designing our modules, we choose the lengths and the dimensions based on the best use of all the components. So we have like golden measures that you have a much lower waste in materials. And because you're running in a production line, what is left over from a module can be easily used in another one. So this also reduces even more the waste generated. Yeah. And this is another hospital that we delivered, and there are other kind of buildings as well. I'll pass forward here so that we can see other kind of buildings. These are buildings that we did for Ambev as well. This was delivered in 59 days, more than 2,000 square meters, all manufactured here in Tubarão and transported to any place in Brazil. The interesting thing, now coming back to circular economy, depending on the material that you use, be it brick or mortar, be it drywall, light steel frame, if you don't do it in a modular way, once you put it in place, once you build the construction on site, if you have to like clean the land for another kind of building, or to change the building that is there, usually the end of the life cycle, which starts there with the extraction of the material and goes until the construction and use, and then the end of the life cycle is usually demolishing the building. However, the fascinating thing about modular construction is that you simply don't have this end of the life cycle of a construction. You don't need to demolish. You can simply relocate it. You can relocate the construction with less than 10% loss in materials, which will be only in the separation between modules, So you have 90% of the material not only the material, but also the labor and the energy that you spend building that construction, preserved and being shifted to another place. Yeah. And you still, of course, can change the layout and adapt the construction that you had once in a place, and you have a different use in somewhere else. But the fantastic thing is that you don't need to demolish. And this brings us a very high efficiency. You're not having to, even with most efficient ways of demolishing, where you separate all the materials, you're still losing that energy that you put to put them all together. Yeah, this is being lost. In our kind of construction, modular construction, you can save that energy. You'll just have to make these connections in between modules. Yeah. So this is another building that we did 90 days there in Jaguariúna, São Paulo. It has water collection. It has sun, solar panels. It has a vertical garden as well. And of course, all these materials that are used, they had a very much lower rate of waste during the whole process compared to conventional constructions. And the construction.
I will need to interrupt you, and I'm pretty sad about this, but we have a short time, and I'm pretty curious to see Izabella presentation, who have a great case too. Tudo, can you please share the slides from Izabella with us? Oh, thank you. Please, Paulo, and sorry by the time.
No, it's okay.
No
I'm
problem.
sorry.
And congratulations for this, your project you presented. Really, I didn't know the level of technology you are applying. So my case is simpler than yours. And I put here Exchange for Change because we are part of the hub here, Circular Economy Hub in Brazil. And Izabella is the company I work for. This is one Germany group. And we started one, I would say, different chemical industry here in Brazil because we are producing energy and chemical products by using rice husk ash. Or at first, we burn the rice husk to produce power. And then the result of this burning is the ashes, which is rich in silicium, the chemical element we are looking for, and then we produce silica. The conventional industry uses sand to produce the same product we are producing by this rice waste. And the sand is mining, So this is the first difference that we have comparing to traditional chemical industry. And Veja is our partner in this project. This is one French company, shoes producer or brand shoes producer. And they are based here in Brazil in terms of industrial. Guys are producing here for the year, I would say 2,500,000 pairs of shoes. And in one special concept, using sustainable raw materials, the majority of raw materials vegetable based, and applying concepts of social engagement and environmental protection. And we can go to the next slide, please. So our proposal to Veja was to produce one rubber shoe sole by using sustainable raw materials from vegetable sources. What's happening today? Today, the same rubber shoe sole is produced by oil-based raw materials from petroleum, synthetic rubber, and the silica I mentioned by sand, and oil plasticizer, mineral oil-based as well, and the other materials also oil-based. So next, please. Next slide, please. What we need to produce a shoe sole. The first ingredient is rubber. And you see the percentage of this ingredient in one rubber compound to produce the shoe sole. The second one is the reinforcing filler to give mechanical resistance to rubber. Plasticizer to make easier to process, to mix rubber, filler, other ingredients. Curative system. This is to vulcanize the shoe sole and to give you one definitive shape for this. Anti-aging, because the rubber is carbon chain, and we can degrade carbon chain by exposing to environment, for example, and processing age. So you see that silica is the second one important in this formulation. Of course, the rubber is the main one. Silica gives hardness to these compounds, which is related to comfort, not too hard, but a good balance, wear resistance, tear resistance. So this is one picture to show you that the silica is reinforcing the rubber chain, as in this illustration in this small picture. So Next one, please. And then this is the last slide and the formulation we developed together with Veja. And then you see the first ingredient, which is natural rubber, right? And from the trees, and the silica from rice husk. And then you see oil from soybean, epoxidized oil, and resin from pine tree. And then you have other ingredients, all of them based on vegetable sources. And we achieved 96.25% of vegetable raw material in this formulation with good performance in the same level than the one produced by synthetic raw materials or synthetic from oil-based raw materials. So this is the case. This is in production since last February. And the idea is to optimize this formulation usage in all production of sneakers made by Veja here in Brazil. That's it.
Now I'm curious, do you have one shoe like this? I will change my whole closet.
Sure.
Thank you, Paulo, for the exposition. Unfortunately, we're not going to have available time to explore all the cases and all the amazing details about each one. But the book brings in a very specific and detailed way analysis about the partnerships, about the technology that is involved to do all the transformation. I'm pretty sure you will learn a lot as we learn in these last few years, not only writing the book, but through these events and meetings and sharing knowledge and experience with different people from different places. Thank you all for collaboration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to be back here as well to thank you all one more time. Vittoria and Natalia for being along my side in this journey. Paulo and Degani for accepting our invitation, and congratulations for amazing projects, amazing cases. I'm sure there will be a lot of people interested in getting the book and learning more about these cases, and all the others also. I think we have a total of 10 cases. But we always like to finish our events with some news and emotions and inspiration, because circular economy is all about that. So I'm going to ask Julio, our amazing supporter here, to share with us a beautiful song that we produced. It's a circular economy bossa nova in English. And let's finish this amazing, beautiful voice of Maris.
There is no trash you see, no other way, circular economy. There is no space for linearity. A new way to grow, circular economy. Let me be clear, no need to produce, use and throw away. Let's care for our biosphere, we aim to build a clean future day by day. There is no waste, there is no trash you see. No other way, circular economy. There is no waste, there is no trash you see. No other way, circular economy. Thinking close to use clean energy. Need to work as a group, raising diversity. There There is no waste, there is no trash, you see. No other way, circular economy. There is no space for linearity. A new way to grow the circular economy. There is no way.
So thank you all for being here with us and being part of the circular transition in Brazil. See you all very soon.